For March the 7th, 2025, we talk about Avowed, Beyond Hanwell, the Peaks of Yore, and much more. Welcome to Level 535. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Rocking it 3 style tonight.
Woo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Moxie is on the run from the authorities again.
And by that, we mean they're in the process of moving. So eventually,
the authorities might not be chasing them.
I didn't say the authorities were chasing them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know when you've been friends with someone too long when you think of the exact same jokes.
I guess when you move in any direction, you're running away from the authorities. Just everyone the opposite.
You're just running toward different authorities.
Yeah.
What is the furthest north governmental body?
Oh man. I've got some news. We were talking about it in the pre-roll, but I'm going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic. We were kind of unsure if we were going to be there this year. We got in kind of late, so we're going to be doing a live panel on the bonus stage on Saturday at 7 p.m. And then having a meetup after that. And we would like to see you there. We are not setting up a table just because of the way things worked out, which is a bummer for FaceTime, but Gary and I will be at the show. And we will have the meetup and stuff, obviously. I'm kind of excited because like it is the manning the table thing that is the thing that makes it work. Really? Mm-hmm. It's like all of its kind of work. You know, we're there for a business purpose, but like being pinned to the table is, I mean, Dennis, you know this from working Origin, right?
Oh yeah.
It'll be nice.
Just a change of scenery is nice.
Yeah, it'll be nice for the first time in the, I think, 13, 14 years we've been doing these to be at a show and not have a table. So
yeah, that actually sounds fantastic. I might be doing the same thing for Gen Con. We will see.
Ooh.
Yeah, because like the Lauren Brown, the artist for Deck of Wonders, her booth has been where I've put my merch the past several years. And since I will most likely not have new product to sell yet, I can kind of drop the playmats and accessory stuff off at her booth and then go have fun.
I know, right? It's such a novel concept.
When you're not pinned down to a table, you're free to run away from the authorities as well.
True, and
That's
towards
right.
other authorities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is really funny. Like we could have the exact same conversation. But if we're just like standing in front of someone else's table having it, it's fun. But if I'm like sitting and you're standing in front of me and I have to be like on to make sure no one else wants my attention, and like, yeah, it's just a completely different dynamic. So
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So very fun.
Looking forward to it. I don't know if that'll be the new norm. We'll see. I think there are definitely like upsides to having a table. But yeah, we're going to be up there. That's like the first weekend of April, is when that's going to be. So come check us out. Midwest Gaming Classic at the, I think it's the Baird Center downtown, just the downtown convention center thing in Milwaukee. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's my story. That's all I got. Dennis, what's going on?
Nice. Oh man, what is going on? Our house is becoming neighborhood kid central.
Okay.
So just like as the weather's getting warmer, all the kids are kind of coming out from their hidey holes. All the families are really. And I think we've had like an average of 5 neighborhood kids hanging out at our house at any given time. So it is loud.
I'm sure.
You think it's loud when there are 3 of your own playing together, and then just more than double that. Mm-hmm. And if I start missing what you guys are saying, you'll have to understand. But it is like I think we're very excited because for a long time that was kind of a little bit of our hope moving into the neighborhood was like that would be the dynamic. Uh-huh. I grew up on a very busy road, and so I never had that. Just because there wasn't anywhere to go, and so being able to recreate that or create that for the first time here has been really cool. So yeah, just ears ringing from kids running all over the place. The latest adventure was Barrett had friends over and they were playing the game where you shout freeze at the adult and the adult has to freeze and then they reposition your hands so that like your fingers in your nose and you're holding like 3 dishes and then yell unfreeze and you have to act surprised. So it's a blast. It's a good time.
That's
fun.
Cute.
Yeah.
Leaning into the dad side.
Yeah. Sorry about your ears. Man, kids can be.
What was that?
Sorry about. Okay, you got me. Man, kids can be so loud. Like
They certainly can.
yeah, it's
in the best mood too. No one has to be mad or angry or crying or anything. It's just having fun, and that's like the loudest.
just always screaming.
Yes. The one, their little pipes can only achieve so much, so they feel obligated to use all of it all the time.
Yeah. Nice. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I think the thing I was going to talk about is I saw the Academy Awards on Sunday.
Okay.
Was pretty happy with the results. That Sean Baker got Best Director and Honora got Best Picture. Yeah, a lot better than it could have been. A lot better than previous years of Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So.
The thing that I was invested in was Amelia Perez not getting too much, and I guess there was only like one like big award that it got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Okay. So elaborate though, because I've heard about the controversy, but I don't really understand why anyone feels strongly about this movie in any direction. But
So every clip of it that I've seen is just very bad. Like, and even if you are like adjusting a curve for how like cringy musicals can be, So like, it might have just been cherry picked clips. But the idea that it's, this kind of schlocky, tropey story about a trans person that leans into a lot of just kind of negative stuff. Myth kind of things is my understanding, and also like nobody who works on the movie is trans. Also, nobody who works on the movie is Mexican, and it is a story about a trans Mexican drug lord kind of person.
Yeah,
and they've like actively been trying to alienate everybody during like the promotional tour has been pretty rough for it. Just kind of seems they're playing with live ammo kind of disrespectfully is the impression that I get. So
yeah, there's kind of like
feels,
this.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to change subject a little bit, but what were you going to say?
It feels like a very drama high school kid was tasked with telling a story when they have never met a trans or Mexican person.
Yeah, it's rough. So that's that's my kind of read on it, is just the kind of tone deafness of it. And I think the worry was, insofar as the Oscars tend to try and make some kind of statement like, oh, we need to support trans people. Let's give this bad movie a bunch of awards. That is. So
instead of
stop
nominating TV Glow instead.
Oh God, I saw the TV Glow like getting nothing is so frustrating. I was happy to see that No Other Land got Best Doc though. That was good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, like, the new meta that I've kind of noticed this year is, like, there's controversies about every movie that's nominated for Best Picture, at least. And so it's trying to, like, suss out what the actual, like, controversies are versus what is just, like, propaganda, more or less, Because it's, like, The Brutalist got hit with the AI thing, but then, like, that ended up being, like, an assistant of an art person used it for inspiration for one of their things. Like, it was so, like, indirect, but it was like, so it's like all these things are, I don't know, it's like Yeah. So, but yeah, I'd seen the stuff with the tweets about the one actor from the movie, and like, yeah, that seems more concrete of not great. And then the director of Amelia Price, I had seen their previous film, and I hadn't realized that until like today or yesterday. But the previous film was The Sisters Brothers, which was kind of like a just weird Western movie that was kind of just uneventful, or didn't really. It just existed. I don't know. I saw it and kind of felt nothing, but it has like a stacked cast. It was I didn't really understand like how that got made, but then piecing it all together, they directed that, and then previously they directed A Prophet, which was like a more well-regarded movie that came out I think in 2009. That was kind of like a Scarface-esque like rise to power type movie.
Okay.
So anyway, piecing together all that context. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably watch the movie still at some point, but yeah, it does sound not hopeful, I guess, for how it'll go. But we'll see.
Yeah.
And then, as a side note, I saw Lost Highway for the first time this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It's a David Lynch movie, so it's like, well, a lot of stuff happened.
God.
I need to like read a book to figure out what's going on in this movie.
It's so weird that trying to have his wife killed is only the second scariest thing Robert Blake has ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him in that movie so much.
yeah. Both the scene in the beginning and the end are great. There's so many creative ideas in the movie. The structure of it is like wholly original. Like, love all of that. Hearing about some of the context of it, that it was made like around the time of the O.J. Simpson trial, and like David Lynch being fascinated with that is interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was an interesting watch, and I figured you'd be interested to hear about it, Kole.
Yeah, it's a good one. It tends to not get discussed as much as Mulholland Drive, or Fire Walk with Me, or the other Lynch stuff. So I'm glad that you got something out of it.
Yeah.
Wait, Fire Walk with Me is that a specific piece of media, or that's the quote from Twin Peaks?
Fire Walk with Me is the name of the film, the kind of prequel, kind of sequel, to the main series. The timeline is messed up. I
assume that came out before the second season.
It came out after the show was canceled. It came out in like 1993 or something like that. It was well before Twin Peaks: The Return.
Excuse me, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
second season. Yeah, okay. Huh. Learn something new.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, really cinema full week.
Yeah.
A cinematic week? I feel like that's got the wrong connotation.
Yeah. I almost said like it would have been better to say full of cinema rather than cinema full, but I was committed the second that I started speaking.
A cinemesque week?
Want me to do more? Want me to tear apart my sentence more?
Yeah, I think we need at least 15 more minutes on it.
I'd rather not. I think I'd rather talk about video games. And to do that, we need to have the regular kind of show, what with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
The Grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. I think all of us were here last time, so I will ask if anybody has anything new.
I got something brand spanking new.
Okay, I want to hear it.
Yeah, Avowed just came out, the new BioWare RPG.
Not BioWare, Obsidian.
Obsidian. Oh my God. Yes. I'm sorry. I was talking with someone about it, and that led into a conversation about BioWare.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Obsidian, Fallout New Vegas people, etc. And man, this game is interesting. It is. I can't tell you. I'm a couple hours in. It is one of the funniest games I have ever played. And I am completely uncertain if any of it is intentional.
So Obsidian is funny.
Yeah. But it's not like the like lines are wisecracky or anything. It's just silly stuff. Like the companion you have in the tutorial is just the Grinch, but blue. And there's no indication that this sort of being exists in the world leading into it. It's just like, the camera comes up, you wake up on the beach and the Grinch.
So he's the blue Grinch. Does he have knee surgery tomorrow?
No idea.
Okay. And then I learned about that meme and it completely passed me by. Are you aware?
Passed me by too, apparently.
Yeah. Are you aware?
Yeah, I was gonna say I need to Google this.
Yeah. I will put an image here. It's really nothing. It was just a blue image of the Grinch, and it says that feeling when knee surgery is tomorrow, and people it just kind of keeps going like that.
If Obsidian is somehow sending that up with this character, then that is some 4D chess right there.
Yeah. Sorry. So you've got a Grinch.
But you've got a Grinch, very, very friendly and well-spoken Grinch that just
Mm.
a fuzzy guy. So my question, have you played Pillars of Eternity?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I haven't played Fallout New Vegas. I'm trying to think of what other Obsidian games I've played. Let's see.
Did you fuck with
this isn't based in the world of another game, is it? I thought this was a new deal.
Yeah, no, this is in the universe of Pillars of Eternity. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay. As someone who did not know that and knows nothing about Pillars of Eternity, that could explain a lot of the weirdness.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So Grinch guy, he's following you around the island. The very first city in the game, hey, what are we doing here? Here's where you're going. It's called Paradise.
Okay.
I'm not making that up, and it takes all my willpower not to immediately go, Paradise nuts!
Oh, come on.
There we go. I peeked. Hey.
Yeah.
Do we think it was a typo on paradise, or
that's how it's spelled?
And is that how it's spoken too, or is we must go to Paradise?
That is how it's spoken. Paradise.
Okay.
Like you were like parodies of Star Wars or something.
Okay.
Parodies. Like you were trying to set up a D's nuts joke. And I have to listen to someone say this every 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. I don't the similarity to Paradise, and then I don't know. I laugh every time I hear it. Even the opening cutscene, you're getting introduced to this world. They're telling you about it. There's a cute little lemur that's rainbow colors, climbing around on a tree. And then it steps on essentially a biological landmine of some sort.
Okay.
And there's just this wide shot of the lemur getting yeeted out of this tree like a...
Okay.
It's just the frame of it. It's this is framed to be funny. No one... It's never quite to the point. It's okay, this is clearly supposed to be funny. But if I was trying to send this up or make someone laugh with this is exactly how I would do it.
Yeah.
It's very slapstick, the way the opening cutscene is done. And then the latest thing from earlier today is one of the early quest givers is Emma Stone. Someone went into the character creator and just to the best of their ability and doing a pretty good job of it made Emma Stone.
I mean, she's a very beautiful woman. That's why they let her be in movies. She does have a very distinctive, almost alien-like look.
It is a very distinct look. I don't know if you could have done it better if you had brought her in to scan it. But it's I'm like, is this going to be Emily Stonesmith or something? Is there a joke coming? And they never say anything about it. It's just uncannily Emma Stone on the screen.
Okay.
So apart from any of the gameplay or anything like that, I just coming to this world for the first time, having no context for anything, and just constantly having this weirdness shoved in your face. The best way I can describe it is imagine you were watching Lord of the Rings for the first time. We'll go watching instead of reading because I'm a Philistine. But in every couple of scenes, the characters would have an increasingly silly hat on.
Okay.
But no one in the movie recognizes this, and no one you're watching with is reacting to it either. It's supposed to be there. That's the kind of experience I'm having.
So is it kind of going back and forth between tones?
No, it's been consistent. Like it's not, there's like fungal zombies, but it's not like suddenly doing incredibly dark stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a weirdness to it that has me giggling the entire time I'm playing it.
You're saying why I ask if like it's an inconsistency thing, because it sounds like the tone is a problem for you, just in the way that you're speaking.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, don't mishear me on that. I've been enjoying every second of it. And it's just like, laughing along with all this stuff. It's just, I'm not sure if that's what they're intending, or it's just a benefit that I happen to be getting out of it because it's a brand of weirdness that tickles me in particular. So yeah, if anyone else plays it on the network, I'll be interested to compare notes and have them be like, no, this is all completely normal if you've played Pillars of Eternity. So go figure. Gameplay wise, like even that, the melee combat, it's first person game, lots of melee combat, and it's done very well. The weapons have heft to them and feel like they're being used in a physical space rather than just an animation swinging back and forth on the screen in front of you, if you know what I mean. They connect, they bounce off of shields, sharp things get stuck in enemies, and it's clearly put a ton of effort and love into making these things feel heavy and real. And they do that very well. So from like a first person melee combat game, this goes even above like Vermintide, in terms of what I've played, just because it really does have a kineticness to it that's really nice. At the same time, like, my heuristic is always go for the big freaking hammer, right?
Right.
Like two-handed, biggest club I can find. And there's just something funny about knocking around these lizard people enemies with a giant hammer. Like the way they sprawl after you knock them around, the noises they make, it all feels very much like the grunt in Halo.
Okay.
Like how that was almost played as a comedy character. It feels like everyone I'm fighting right now, and granted I'm early levels, but it feels like I'm fighting those just, armies of grunts. So, not scary at all. And not necessarily a negative thing, just satisfying to play Whack-A-Lizard, I guess.
Okay.
That seems appropriate for the beginning.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It is an intriguing story. You're an envoy sent by the king to this kind of wild frontier to assess the damage that this rumored plague is doing. And it's like, hey, go to this crazy place that we can barely control and see what their problem is and deal with it. And of course, that's going to unfold in twists and turns. You also happen to be someone who was touched by a god at some point and like has a special feature. Going into the silliness, like they lean into the like fungal Last of Us zombie type of stuff for the enemies, but also you have like the fey plant version of that going on your face as a god touched. So for example, I just have a giant leaf unibrow. That's my thing. That's what it is. That was one of the options. I'm like, I'm here for it.
Okay.
So it's this burly dude, with the beard and the long hair, and I was going for like a Paul Bunyan type, except he's got like this turquoise fey leaf unibrow going on.
Oh gosh, I want to make like a because it's plants, just a Bill Berry joke. The drummer from REM who has the unibrow.
Oh man, that'd be amazing. So yeah, I think the more I'm talking about it, the more it feels like, okay, this kind of wink and smile tone feels intentional and feels like it feels like you're playing something that people had fun making, and we're just like, yeah, be weird, throwing little in jokes, whatever, and the world is better for it, at least so far.
Okay.
You're doing all the standard RPG stuff, fighting enemies, collecting loot, upgrading gear. going on quests to clear rats out of cellars. It's all that stuff.
Yeah, I just the remit that I think I've seen is like it is colorful Skyrim. Like it is very specifically like filling in that niche. I'm not calling it like a fast follow. It's just like there hasn't really been like a single player game that has aimed to specifically fill that need. Really.
Yeah, like here is an RPG world to play in.
Yeah.
Where we have specifically made it so that you go poking around nooks and crannies, which leads to a tunnel, which leads to another nook, which leads to, and you just kind of like, I am exploring as my primary way of interacting with the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, that feels very true here as well.
What's,
I imagine people. Oh, go ahead.
What's the RPG system like? Do you pick a class and level up like skills and abilities and that type of thing, or?
Yeah, so there are 3, I guess you could call it classes. There's fighter, wizard, and one other that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I went fighter. And then you've got your like base stats, your constitution, strength, dexterity, yada yada. And so when you level up, you get to put a point into the base stats and pick a skill from one of those skill trees. The interesting thing is, at least as far as I saw, you can start filling in multiple of those skill trees at once. It's not like picking one locks you out of the others. There's like some skills you have to have spent a certain amount of points to get to, or it's like locked behind a certain level, but it's a character level, not a class level. So that's how it's gone so far. Your companions level up as well. And as far as I can tell, their leveling up is detached from yours. So they have a skill tree that you level up. And then there is also a God touched. I keep on wanting to say godlike, but a God touched skill tree that the game very cryptically said, like, you will unlock these powers as you play the story, and your choices determine what powers emerge. So it's a skill tree that isn't necessarily tied to XP, but maybe is tied to story beats.
Okay.
I smell brainworms.
Yeah. Brainwords that are acceptable for me to use, I guess. So yeah, I've been having a ton of fun with it. Every corner of this world is filled with just the weirdest kind of charm. And I think your encapsulation of like a vibrant Skyrim, rainbow colored Skyrim is very apt. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from there.
How's the companion rating?
I don't know. I've got Bland Blanderson as my first companion. I mean, well, he is a giant blue snake person.
Okay. Doesn't sound bland.
It's like, yeah, but he's got a pistol and, wisecracks. So he's fantasy Han Solo.
Okay.
We've seen this trope
Snake
before.
on a plane, but spelled differently.
All right. Okay. Yep. There we go.
Nice. Okay, we've got our title sorted out.
There we go. We don't have to worry about it. It's nice to get it out of the way.
It's nice when it's that obvious. Yeah. So I've had one long rest equivalent in BG3 where you kind of walk around the camp and can talk to all the companions. One nice thing, by the way, that I already noticed Avowed does that I was like, ooh, I wish Baldur's Gate 3 did that, is you get a little pop-up notification when there's a new conversation to have with your companion at camp.
Okay.
There's mods that do that in Baldur's Gate.
I was going to say, I assume there's mods at some point that do that, but at least in my playthrough of Baldur's Gate, it was like, wait, I haven't thought to go back and talk to these people in a while, and now we got to go through all the conversations about stuff that was 5 hours ago because I haven't long rested. So that's nice to know. Oh, hey, if I feel like a story beat, I can take a story beat. But yeah, the first companion, I can't even remember his name, if that tells you anything. I think it's like Kai or something like that. Is a Han Solo type, a wisecracker, and there's nothing more to it yet. I have enough faith that Obsidian will put in interesting twists and character beats, etc. But for now, a couple hours in, it's passable. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just curious because, like, in this kind of game, that can be a big deal. You don't want to get, like a Fallout 3 companions kind of problem, right? Where they're either nothing or annoying.
Yes.
Yeah.
No in between.
Yeah. No, I'm curious about this. I don't have any buy-in on the Pillars of Eternity kind of setting is the thing. I've not played that game, and I understand like the second one's pretty good, but like I didn't even know that this was in the Pillars of Eternity world until like after the game came out. And when I found that out, like I immediately got kind of like less interested.
I mean, I didn't even know it until this podcast.
Yeah.
So clearly they're not pushing that as a thing.
Also, like they have tyranny. They have that setting. Tyranny's setting is so cool.
This
Just
actually
go do the thing.
This increases like the interest for me because like that was the kind of one blocker when I was playing Deadfire, the Pillars of Eternity 2. It was like the immersion wasn't there for me since you're so far back. It's like a CRPG, so since you're so far back with the camera and like it's mostly just text boxes of people, like didn't really feel too immersed in the world. So it sounds like this might solve that issue for me specifically. But
Yeah. If I had to levy one criticism or complaint so far, it feels like the skills beyond just swing your thing are like I have to remember to use them rather than them being an integral part of combat.
Oh yeah.
Where like I can get by just hacking away just fine. Like that, I haven't been, and maybe that's a blessing. I don't necessarily want another Dark Souls, but I have yet to find a skill that's like, oh yeah, I see how this combo's in, or what have you. It's like, oh well, I need to zip across the map to this enemy. I could use my skill, or I could just use the charge up attack on my weapon that leaps you forward. But I guess I'll use my skill because it's off cooldown and it's there. So we'll see. Obviously, as I unlock more stuff, I imagine it will get more interesting. But that's maybe just the consequence of being a level 3 character.
Yeah. It'll probably fill out.
Oh, one other weirdness to end on that I like. The area you're in is called the Living Lands. And everyone seems so surprised that the land might be rising up against them. They're like, oh, these colonizers keep having their crops die and the forest regrow over their fields. What could be happening here in the Living Lands?
Yeah, they'll do that. It's like, they'll do that.
It's just, I don't know. I love it. It's like I said, I just play it and giggle constantly at the random stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, that is Avowed. I have also continued playing Balatro.
Okay.
I have unlocked all the decks that you can get without moving up through the like chip levels, which is essentially like the ascension levels.
yeah.
So that's cool. There's like, I don't know, there are some, I think it's called the checkered deck or something like that, where it is only 2 suits instead of 4. And you have double of each suit. Where it feels like they've kind of handed you your win condition from the start.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because you go in, you try to build something very specific versus other decks where it's just like, oh, this one has an extra discard every round or whatever. And that's a little more flexible, like a perk. But it did feel weird to me that there was kind of that inconsistency with how powerful a deck's starting mechanic was.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Plasma deck, I think, is another one where that forces you down a certain lane.
Which one is that?
That's the one where you do the multiplicable average of your multiplier in your chips, your points or whatever, and then you square that. So like if it's like 110, I think maybe it averages to that would average to 55 times 55 and you get that as your score. So the idea is you just go for a shit ton of points and then you get half of your points squared. And so you just ignore the multiplier mechanic completely in that one.
Yeah, I haven't unlocked that one yet, so that must be behind later chip levels.
Okay.
Or whatever they call them.
The stakes. Yeah.
Yeah, the stakes, yeah. I think oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I know what you mean. Where it's like if you're going in like expecting it like a Slay the Spire, where it's like each one being compared to one another like balance, then yeah, that could be disappointing. But I like the fact that it does open up like unique mechanics with specific decks. Like I like that asymmetry to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's almost like it feels like a make your own fun kind of deal. Where I think my goal for the game versus progressing through the chip levels or anything like that is to win with each kind of win condition I can think of, if that makes sense. So like, I've got, with the checker deck, I've got a win condition where it's like I can create one kind of hand incredibly consistently and I just build everything around that.
Yeah.
I also have gotten win conditions around certain like broken combinations of Joker cards where, you could play pretty much in any hand, and just because of the Jokers you have and their modifiers, the way they play together, that's going to boost you to success. I want to, right now I'm on a run where I'm trying to get like the low quality hands to be buffed. So like just a high card or a pair, but with a ton of, there are certain cards, gold cards, steel cards, stone cards, where if you keep them in hand, when you play from your hand, they give you a multiplier from your hand. I'm sure that makes no sense to someone that hasn't played it. I didn't articulate that well, but
Numbers.
basically like make it so I can play any one card, and then the stuff that's still in my hand is actually what's going to count. So I'm working on that. But those kind of things, it's like I almost need to think through what would be a fun win condition, and then what starter deck would be most amenable to that, and then play from there. Versus feeling like I want to go see every deck or progress with every deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's not the worst thing. Once I've broken the game in all the ways I can think to break the game, I'll be done and I'll be happy with that. And that's it's very clear that the game is not trying to hold you there for a story or anything like that. So there's something that the way I want to play it fits with the way it's presented.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
It is a game that does let you put it down.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's not a lot of addictive mechanics to it, like where it's like there's not like a meta progression. Well,
then
I'm saying like
can't
there's not.
I put it down?
Yeah. But just like you can just decide that you're done, and it's not like, oh, I haven't, I haven't cleared the game with. I guess like the different decks or different characters, but there's something about that feels less like compulsive to me than like, well, I have to whatever the prestige is with every color combination of Monster Train, right?
Yeah, I'm playing because it makes my brain feel good, not because I'm trying to fill 100% bar. Yeah,
I'll put it this way: comparing it to like Marvel Snap or something, where it's like that's a fun game and I love it, but like there's mechanics in it that are designed where it's like, oh, if you put $10 in, you can do this. And it's like Balatro has none of that at all.
Balatro is not predatory in the way that it's designed.
Yeah.
Yes. And then final thought on it is I've been surprised at myself. Every single deck that I've won with, I've played in endless mode until I can't anymore.
Oh yeah.
And I think that speaks towards, again, how you have fun with this game is not, I beat the game, so I want to go on and see the new deck I unlocked, or I beat the game, or I beat this run, so that means I can play at the next stakes level. It's the fun of it is, hey, I found a broken thing. Let's see if I can make it millions broken or tens of millions broken.
Yeah.
Or, eventually the antes get up into like the E to the whatever numbers. So yeah, that's that is nice that they always offer that. And I kind of I was surprised at how much fun I had in endless mode.
It almost never takes long for the wheels to fall off, but it's kind of like the episode of Seinfeld where they're like Kramer's test driving a car, and like
the gas.
Yeah, like, oh, the gas tank is on empty. Let's see how far it can go. Like you gotta see, right? Like, how lucky was I with this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the arc is it's something like it's like 700,000 and then 1 million, 1.5 million, and then it jumps up to like 14 million, I think. And so there's a very clear, like, I don't know if it's logarithmic or whatever, but exponential. There's a very clear acceleration point where it's like, okay, I can get to ante like it's 10 or 11 or something like that. And then like, I just haven't seen anything that could even theoretically break into the next ante. But still, like even then, quote unquote, endless mode is just 3 more antes, and that feels very doable and fun if you found something that works.
Yeah, when it starts changing the cardinalities, that's when you're gonna have a tough time.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Balatro is going to catch on, guys. Got a good feeling about this one.
Yeah. I laughed at the cardinality thing. I don't know what that means.
There's like degrees of infinite in math.
Okay.
And
all right.
so certain things are more infinite than others.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I figured it was probably something like that, and you said it with the tone of a joke. I could have just let it slide, but I didn't want to take myself off the hook.
I appreciate it because if you had a question about it, that means everyone else probably has a question about it.
I didn't need you to explain, but yeah.
But you love learning, and now you can make a joke about cardinality that no one understands. Everyone wins.
Yeah, the wheels are going to fall off that too.
Good stuff.
Nice. Avowed and Balatro. Cool.
I guess I got to play a C game next.
Oh yeah. Just keep it going that way. Makes sense.
What about everyone else?
I've got one that's kind of new, insofar as it came out last fall. I started streaming a game called Beyond Hanwell.
Ooh.
Is that
It sounds like 3 games mashed together into a title.
Kind of.
The name's Hanwell. Beyond
Hanwell. Hanwell. It's a horror game that takes place in kind of an open world, like Westminster neighborhood of London, where like you wake up in like a subway tunnel, and this is kind of a future where these anomalies have started showing up, like anomalous creatures have started showing up, and like the entire district is abandoned, and you are trying to figure out what's going on, and the answer lies in a building that is sealed up. You need the ID cards of these like council members who have all kind of hermit crabbed into different like buildings in the city, and all kind of gone mad in their own particular way. It's a little it's like a BioShock kind of thing.
Okay.
It's first person, open world ish, and it's pretty, and it makes it like a pretty good like first impression, like when you're looking at it on like the Steam store, like the art, looks pretty high fidelity, and there's some like good design and good animation in it. But the problem is like, it's really empty, and like the dungeon and encounter design is real kind of flat.
Oh no.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So like, the actual like spaces that you're going through, it's very linear. You're mostly just like, you go down a hallway, and you find a locked door, you go into a side room, there's a key, and then there's a jump scare that kind of comes out and gets you, and another thing kind of attacks. It's not really introducing a whole lot of new things in terms of enemies. Like there's a pretty good variety to the enemies that you fight, at least in terms of like, variety of tactics. Like the first dungeon that's like waiting for you right outside when you leave the subway tunnels is a theater, and it is full of all these mannequins, and then some of them start moving. They do like the weeping angel thing. They only move when you're not looking at them.
When you're looking at it.
Yeah. And then they're also like they kind of pull something from Prey. They're like spiders that are mimics. So like, you'll be in a space and then just kind of like, oh, that that stool wasn't lying on the floor there before. Did it just kind of wiggle? Oh, I hear a high pitched like chittering. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's a spider. It's a mimic coming
I
after
feel
me.
like the true horror of those mimics is not being able to safely drink coffee anymore.
God, Prey is such a good game.
I actually had someone talking it up to me this week.
It's really it's really good.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass too.
Oh
so
yeah.
and it might have some Prey chatter. So.
And it's always on sale. Like even if you're not on Game Pass, it's always on sale for like real cheap.
Yeah, it's $6 apart from Game Pass right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, like just the encounter design is kind of flat. Like it doesn't. Yeah. Like after the first like 2 hours, it doesn't really throw that much new at you. You do end up like running into like each of the kind of council members is kind of like nutso in kind of a similar way, and you don't you don't get one as interesting as the one in the theater, at least so far. The puzzles are pretty poorly signaled, and that kind of fidelity of the assets, like everything is really detailed. But that means that nothing sticks out. So you're just kind of like going around and pixel hunting almost for stuff that's interactable.
They really need some yellow paint in this.
I mean, kinda like you can really like accomplish a lot of that just with lighting, and because everything is like so combination of so shiny and so gritty and so cluttered, they just kind of can't. Yeah. So like it's a bummer, when they say like, oh yes, this is an open world horror game with these anomalies that you're trying to keep an eye out for, and they talk about like a robust like crafting and melee combat system. I'm almost expecting something like an urban stalker almost with that.
Yeah.
And that is just kind of not the case. It's just kind of really weak soup.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say what you're describing is like what was it, that one sequel game, the Evil Within 2? I mean, that's kind of what that game is, right? Where it's like urban.
Evil Within 2 is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Evil Within 2 a lot because that has like really cool stealth stuff to it, and like the combat is really satisfying in terms of like leading being pretty close to a Resident Evil 4 style, like you are managing enemies that have pretty complex behaviors. This is just like, beyond like the gimmick. Okay, this moves when you're not looking. Like not every enemy is like that. Like there are plenty who are just like, here are these humanoids with kind of burnt skin who will, like run at you, and then some of them will like vomit on you. It's yeah, I don't care for it very much. It's not like terrible insofar as like, oh, I need to like pull the ripcord on this and just like kind of stop playing it. It just feels kind of uninspired.
That's a bummer because it looks like, it does look high production from what you were saying, like from the screenshots and stuff like that.
And that's something where like that kind of is no longer a good. It's kind of no longer a good indication of what you're going to get, because for so long, like, oh, at least this is really pretty, just like, okay, that shows that there is like money in this, and like a lot of craftsmanship, which is a pretty shallow way to evaluate things, but like, yeah, production value, sometimes does, translate into like a certain complexity or something like that. That's kind of no longer the case with Unreal 5.
That's what I was going to say, is you can get nice enough assets out of the toolbox now that, it's not that it's ever been a great predictor, but it's even less reliable now.
Yeah.
I wonder too, if like the team behind this is primarily like digital artists or headed up by digital artists rather than gameplay focused people. Like that could be another contributor.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
I'm completely guessing.
No, so yeah, like this is something that came up in chat. So I can't take full responsibility for this insight, but it it does feel like there are like one or two, like there's an animator and like an art director who are like pulling their weight way more than like the scenario designers and the level designers and stuff. is what it is a little bit what it feels like. Also the fact that this takes place in like a really lovingly rendered version of this well-known well-known neighborhood and inside and outside of, you know, famous landmarks, it feels like there is a little bit more adherence to like verisimilitude and not a lot of attention made to how do we make this an engaging space to exist in.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, maybe they just turn around and blame city planners and be like, "You should have done a better job."
No, I mean, no, that's on them. They're making a game. The city planners were making a city. They did their job.
Oh man.
So yeah, I'm also like kicking myself because there was for my stream last weekend. It was it was down between two games. It was either this or Mute House, which is a throwback, like kind of retro style Resident Evil alike. And I was like, I'll do the Beyond Hanwell because I don't know. I've played a lot of retro throwback stuff on the streams recently, and I chose wrong. Apparently because Mute House is really good. So womp.
Well, no one bets
Always
1,000.
next Friday.
There's always next Friday. I'm going to finish this one up though. I bailed on the thing remastered, so I've got to
Understandably
stick
so.
with something. Yeah. What were you gonna ask?
Do you think that like city planners or architects in New York ever think like, all right, this is probably going to show up in a GTA at some point. I should like do something interesting here.
I hope not.
Should give these people a hook to work with.
I really, really hope not, actually, because I need them to like design it to like serve the needs of the people who live there.
Plus, it's such a roll of the dice because they're not like 100% accurate with everything.
Yeah.
Like they choose what to include and what not to.
Like it would.
But you know, like every New York City map has the Empire State Building.
I think that you got kind of a cart before the horse thing there. I think that they just made something iconic and then it gets included in a game later. Like I don't know. I don't want like civil engineers designing, thinking, "Hey, this would make a cool Tony Hawk level."
But you know it has to have at least crossed someone's mind, right?
Yeah, probably.
You can't not think that. The kids that grew up on Tony Hawk are now, you know, city planners out in the real world.
Yeah, somebody's definitely thinking about, you know, grinding out a Rip Snorton line, right? You know, like if you're seeing it, like there's a you're fully Tetris affected. I just think that I would hope that is not the primary concern, and I can't say that it isn't. But also, I can't say that it's never been, but I can express my hopes and dreams, which is there are higher callings for those people.
Yeah. Look, my bar for what humans will sink to is pretty low right now.
Yeah, there is no bottom. Yeah, so that is Beyond Hanwell. A little bit of a bummer. Maybe it'll pick up. Maybe there'll be cool, I don't know. Something like this can be saved by like a really cool dungeon too. You know, like a really cool level, or like a, you know, like, oh man, that boss was real neat. So they just need like one dungeon that is 20% better than the theater, and then it's like, okay, my time here was justified. Yeah. Like it wouldn't be great. Like, you know, you want to just for pacing purposes, but just like, okay, cool. Like there's, you know, I'm glad I stuck this out because I got to see something really neat. You know. But like they had a really cool concept for one. Like one of the councilmen is in it's like in a cathedral, like an Anglican cathedral. I forget which one, but it's one that a king is buried under. And he's like a real like not so like royalist kind of guy. And he's using like the anomalies and all of the research in order to try to find a way to resurrect the king so he can, so, you know, to take his rightful throne and stop the anomalies from coming and whatever. And, you know, every clone that they tried to make of the king didn't work. So they started trying to just grow flesh around his bones. And so like the boss of that area,
Oh no.
the boss of that area is like a, you know, the king skeleton with like this just horrible like flesh monster kind of growing around it, which is a really good concept. And I've seen better boss fights in a Resident Evil game against this thing. It's pretty much just it's pretty much just standing across the room and like trading blows. It really sucks.
Man.
Yeah. Oh well.
Points for the concept though.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I like that. Ben, how about you?
I got a bunch of tiny things here or there, kind of like last week. So yeah, first one's an old one. I've still played Heroes of Hammerwatch 2. I have, I think, 3 characters that I've level 20 now. I finished up Warrior, and I started a Ranger class. And the Ranger classes, as you can admit, or that you could I think of as range class. So you're just shooting arrows at everything. So it's similar to like the Mage, where you kind of attack from afar. So that's an interesting change up. Yeah, I still like that game. It's kind of it's kind of now just relegated to one that I will play if there's other people online that want to play it. It's fine enough to do a run every now and then, but yeah, it does feel like it's more of like a social game, like something like Deep Rock Galactic or Left 4 Dead, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's still good. Still think that there's really good upgrade mechanics in it. Still think it's a really solid game. So yeah. I'm going to move on from that though. Not much else new to say about it.
Okay.
Another game that I played, and it was just a demo. This was from last week during the Steam Next, is a game called, and excuse my pronunciation, but it's Despelote, which translates to desperate in Spanish.
Okay.
This is kind of a more anticipated like indie game that's coming out, and it's big on vibes. It's over like anything else. It takes place in Ecuador in 2001, and it's about like a boy named Julian, who's really into soccer. And I only played the demo for this game, and the demo is like maybe like 20 or 30 minutes. But this feels like a very like artistic game where it's like all about like how you're feeling and less about, you know, some sort of like upgrade loop or some sort of gameplay hook. It kind of makes me feel similar to like the movie Roma. The same sort of thing where it's like, okay, it's going back in time. It's, you know, like a smaller story and just big on vibes of like immersing you in that time period. Yeah. And so different levels might be like you as a kid sitting in the back of a car while your parents are having a conversation, and you're like free to look around if you want, and you can see like what your sister's doing. You're free to pay attention to the conversation or not. There's another level where your parents are making dinner, and you can either go to the TV and play a soccer game in game, or you can like go and listen to their conversation, see what they're talking about. They're talking about current events with like Ecuador playing, I think it was maybe Colombia, and like everyone's basically excited about Ecuador possibly making it into the World Cup, and that's like being a big deal. So, and then the art style is really interesting, where everything in the background is this like pinkish purple pointillism type style. It's
like a bichromatic, like you know, color shifted obviously, but it's almost like a newsprint kind of thing.
Yeah,
like a you know, when you would get like a black and white newspaper photo.
Yeah, but then to pop out things of interest, those are kind of animated in this very low fidelity, like white and black color, which just like makes that pop. And so points of interest basically will be rendered like that. And so like things like a soccer ball or other characters, like kids that you're playing with, will be rendered like that. And yeah, so there's just like a lot of care in this game of making you feel immersed in like the storyline, where like you might play a dream sequence where you're kicking a ball on a soccer field, and then when you turn around, like a cityscape has appeared, and then you kick a soccer ball down through that, and then you turn around and the field's gone. It does like that Batman trick. And all of this is just like establishing like a kid's dream and like what they're thinking about with like them really loving soccer and like what like what the future might hold and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It looks promising. I don't really have a full idea of like how long the game is, or like if the mechanics evolve beyond that, or if basically the demo is pretty indicative of what the game's like as a whole. But yeah, I was very impressed by the demo though. So they make some wise choices where you start off playing like a soccer video game as your kid, and it teaches you how to like kick and run and kind of like how the player handoff will go. Like whoever the closest player is, that's who you take control of. And later in the game demo, you yourself as a kid running around can kick a soccer ball, and it's the same controls that you've already learned in the video game.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they do a lot of stuff like that where it's like you can tell it's like pretty polished, tutorialized game. So anyway,
did you say the main character's name is Julian?
Yeah.
So this is autobiographical. The developer, there are two names listed on the developer, Julian Cordero and Sebastian Valbuena. So like, I think that this might just be like two guys talking about growing up in a very particular time and place.
All right. So it's even closer to Roma than I thought.
Yeah. No, it's cool. This is published by Panic too. Panic they have published interesting things. Like they're the people who publish Firewatch and Untitled Goose Game, but also they put out Arco last year, and also Thank Goodness You're Here. Yeah, so like they're doing cool stuff and giving like small creators chances, and I think that's neat. Obviously, nobody's going to come out against that, I don't think, but yeah.
But the demo is free and it's out now, so I mean it's worth checking out if you want to try something different at least.
It's more like South and Central American, Latin American representation in games. Yeah. Yep.
And the game title again is Despelote, which is desperate in Spanish.
Yeah. The ending pelote, like ball. Pelote, Despelote.
Oh yeah, that's probably a pun, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last game I have to talk about is a game called, looking at my Steam history, The Peaks of Yore. This is I was going through the games that were nominated for originality and game design over the past year, and so this was one that showed up on that. And this is like a weirdly stylized climbing game.
Okay.
It takes place like 150 years ago, kind of like early 1900s, late 1800s.
1887.
Thank you. And the premise is you're just on this island. It might be in like Ireland or Scotland, something like that. And you are just climbing mountains. You have a map at the beginning of the game, and it has like maybe 20 to 30 different points of interest on it that are ordered, and you just click on one and you go and climb whatever is there. So what's interesting about the game is that it does feel kind of like lower production, almost like a game jam sort of game. But kind of where the secret sauce in it is there's a lot of unique gameplay mechanics that come out, and like a lot of unique systems that are given to you like very often. So you quickly learn that every climbing map has a different thing to it. And it'll introduce a new mechanic in the climbing mechanic, and it might just be something that just exists for that one, or it might be something that's added and is there from then on. So to give you an example, you go to a lighthouse and you can start climbing a lighthouse, but the bricks are old on this, so every few of them will, if you grab a brick, it'll give out after a second or two.
Okay.
So you have to be careful about trading off your arms, because if you let go of your other hold, you'll fall off and fall down.
Don't overcommit. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the mechanics are unique to the thing that you're climbing. So, for example, there's a windmill in one level, and so you can climb the windmill as it spins around and try and get to the top and do stuff with that. And the other thing that they do is they try and give you like rewards after each level to kind of give you a sense of progression. And some of these are small. You have this little cabin that's your like hub world in between these climbings. So you might get a music player there where you can listen to music, or you might get more equipment that you can use, like ropes and bolts that you can tie down.
Yeah.
That's some other mechanics that you get is like you have a rope that you can kind of anchor yourself into a certain point, but then you only have a certain number of anchors.
Yeah.
So
called pythons.
You kind of run into this problem where, for example, if you only have one anchor, it's kind of just like, well, if there's something risky here, maybe you can anchor and jump over, and maybe you can take it back out, but maybe not. But once you get two anchors, then you can kind of do things, but it's still annoying where it's like you do two anchors, you have to go back and take off your previous one to go forward. But yeah, it's a very unique game. I don't know if I would strongly recommend it or anything. If you like climbing games, this is certainly would be your bread and butter for that. But it's definitely unique though.
It looks like a more System-Z like first person lo-fi Jusant was what was that climbing game Jusant? Yeah.
I played Jusant. It's definitely more mechanically deep, but the presentation, like, whereas Jusant's much more focused on like the presentation and vibes, I think. So like Jusant's much more like beautiful and elegant, and this is more mechanics rich. There's definitely.
I don't know how to like describe what I'm looking for in something like this, which is like, you know, Death Stranding kind of opened this up for me, and I think that like SnowRunner or MudRunner are also examples of this, which is like a game asking you to read and then pathfind through very difficult spaces and situations in a painstaking way.
Yeah.
I was thinking it could be considered like devil in the details types games where it's like elaborating on what would be a basic mechanic and other things.
Yeah.
But
it probably scratches the same itch as, you know, like when you're a kid and playing at the creek, like trying to get as far as you can, only hopping on the stones that are cresting out of the water, like, and picking your route that way. Like that's the kind of experience that I see this creating.
Yeah. This looks rad. If I'm being honest, I'm surprised I didn't hear about this.
Feel free to give it a go. I haven't gone back to it after my first burst of playing. I think I climbed maybe the first like 10 peaks or so. And it is cool that like the mechanics change on each one where you have to do something different each time. I think the one that I ended at is there's only a certain time that you can hold on to each hold.
Okay.
So you have to go kind of quickly. And I think there's kind of like save points like along the route that you can do. But it does look like the ceiling for how difficult it gets pretty high, because you start doing like crazy things like setting up an anchor, swinging, and then like jumping to a place that you would never be able to climb to, but you have to like catapult yourself there instead.
You have to do some like cliffhanger shit.
Yeah. So it does seem like if it is something that's interesting to you, it does look like it goes pretty deep. So
I'm looking at the DLC and there's wild stuff it's asking you to do.
Oh boy. I didn't even know they had a DLC.
Yeah.
So.
It's the Great Alps is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my wish list. I'll wait for it to, hit a discount, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
Do you have anything else?
That's all I got.
Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, Despelote, and the Peaks of Yore.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, today we are talking about games as a personality test or maybe a vibe check. Let's imagine you're tasked with vetting someone that you are going to have to work with long term, but you can only do that by playing a video game with them. What games would you choose, and what would be the biggest red and or green flags?
Okay. I'll get started here with Riff. Our buddy Riff says, any World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV raid? Who volunteers to be the healer? Who can't not stand in the fire? And then our buddy Lucy says, Riff got it in one. No notes.
What one note? Stop standing in the fire.
It's very clearly marked. It's fire.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. True. I don't know. You get somebody who's willing to play the healer or the support. Yeah, that's a keeper right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't just say that because I like playing healer or support. Let's see, Ben, what does Threnza say?
Threnza says, play Overcooked for a few hours. If we don't hate each other's guts by the end, nothing short of murder will break our bonds.
All of this time I've never played Overcooked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a special kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's always kind of been on the short list for things to play for like Duckstream when we've done something like that. Should. But the problem is because I want to select for things that Jala can get in on too, like that, because that is 4-player max. It's like I don't want to make people sit out. Yeah,
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mm-hmm. But I understand that it is one of those games that can separate friends from each other.
Your communication skills are immediately tested.
What were you going to say, Dennis?
Excuse me. I said there's got to be an Overcooked 3 in the works.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
it's got to be there somewhere.
That series is so popular. I would be very surprised if they didn't. Let's see, Dennis, what does Brain in a Bowl say?
Brain in a Bowl says Kiwi. By the way, spelled Keywe. I don't recognize this. If they're not charmed by those birds and giggling by the end of the first level, this is not going to work. I need to look at this game.
It's like a cute co-op puzzler. You are playing as kiwi birds. I think, yeah, trying to get across levels. It's a cooperative postal puzzler, starring Jeff and Deborah, 2 kiwi birds. Okay.
All right then. Yeah. Perfect.
I'll allow it. And finally here, Callum says, a team-based multiplayer shooter. Doesn't really matter which one. They all give the opportunity for people to blame others for things that are not those people's fault, and for people to react out of proportion to the problem. Yeah.
It's very fair.
Yeah. I feel specifically attacked by the image that you chose to post for this, Dennis. Because
we've never played Portal 2 together. I don't have any qualms with you.
No. It's famously a story that I told 10 years ago, and then maybe referenced a couple of times. I managed to get somebody to rage quit Portal 2 co-op.
Oh no! Wait, someone that you knew, or someone random on the internet?
It was just a random matchmaking.
Oh, that doesn't take much.
He was patient up to a point, but there's only so much. There's only so much communication you can do without voice comms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know that I have any answers that are too different than what people have kind of called out here. Like, obviously you want something that's going to test your communication skills and stuff, and you want something to test for like considerateness. So anything else would feel like arbitrary. Like, okay, co-op satisfactory, but like, how tidy are your conveyor belts, right? Like, looking for something just kind of like real, looking for something just kind of real nitpicky on that. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to say tidiness and satisfactory. How future looking are you in your factory designs?
Oh,
I'm not saying
fail that test.
I'm not saying that I would pass this test. All that I'm saying is I think that consideration for how somebody else might need to plug into that. Like, you can also run into that in like Minecraft too. Like, are you marking shit or not? Just like real basic, considerateness tests, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
So if I had like a few games to test a person, this is kind of my order of operations, is I would do BioShock 1 first. And if you're harvesting little sisters, like, that's a red flag, throw them out. You know? Like,
just a real...
Because that's like... bare minimum,
Understandable.
don't
Yep,
kill
yep, yep.
children. It's like what I'm looking for. But then I would move on to something that's more nuanced and do something like The Walking Dead season 1 and have them play those 5 chapters. And I think that you get a good psychological profile from someone after that.
So you're talking about like moral tests on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like, yeah. Well, I guess maybe I'm reading the question differently, but it's like, if I would want to work with this person, I'd want to make sure they're competent and do the right thing. And not,
Okay. Yeah. No, I just that's not the way that I read it, and it makes it sound like, Ben, I don't like how you're implying that I approve of child murder.
Well, do you?
I also, with Walking Dead, though, it is specifically engineered to create morally gray circumstances.
A bit.
So hard decisions where you could justify either way.
I think there's definitely ones where there's a better decision, but it's harder to decide that. For example, do you throw a cinder block on someone's face or not? The answer should probably be no, but you're under a stressful situation.
I need to see how patient they are with Ben in season 1 and Nick in season 2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the Ben game, not me, for clarification.
Don't worry about it. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, so I would ask them to play League of Legends, and if they say yes, I know that is a toxic person that I can avoid.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of joking, maybe a little bit, but not super duper. I think I might choose a Helldivers 2.
Okay.
Because that's a game where I feel like it is the quintessential hangout game. So you get a real good feel for the vibes of the person. But there's also enough like pressure and being overwhelmed and needing to communicate that you can also get a feel for how they would function as a teammate as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, if they succeed, then you can do Helldivers 2 memes and For Democracy and all that stuff. For the rest of your time together.
It's just performance under pressure and like who's willing to make the sacrifice to hold off, right? Yeah.
And who's not gonna hog the ammo?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff. I wish I played more multiplayer things so I could have given a better answer. But also, I don't wish that I played more multiplayer things because that is a very easy to solve problem.
Look, your answer was satisfactory.
Yeah, that was very specifically, and that's just because it's top. That's just because it's top of mind. Thank you, folks, for responding. If you would like to participate, go on Blue Sky and follow the Level Podcast. Watch for prompts to go up on Monday afternoons, and thank you, Dennis, for posting it.
Yes, indeed.
The End Boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. I'm going to do mine real quick here, not because it is the most important and needs to, be seen, but also it is the most time-sensitive one. There is a bundle on itch.io called the California Fire Relief Bundle. That has like 400 plus games. They are raising money, for wildfire relief, specifically for CORE, community organized relief effort, for people who were affected by that. And there's some good stuff in here. Things that we've covered on WAF. We've got Tunic. That's kind of the headliner game, but there's also Neon Struct in there, and that's a real cool kind of like indie small scale immersive sim, and there along with like Slayer Shock, and I think Eldritch is in there too. I think it's got all of those.
Man, I haven't thought about Eldritch in a long time. It's a good game.
They're just like a bunch of indie games, and it goes for a good cause. They've raised over $200,000 so far on this, and I don't know, get a bunch of games for basically less than nothing.
Yeah, 15,000 people can't all be wrong.
Nope. Peer pressure. Let's see. Dennis, what's happening? What's EA doing?
Yeah, this is a rare win for video game preservation. EA has made the code for 4 of their classic Command and Conquer titles open source. So
Dope.
this is, let's see, Command and Conquer, Red Alert, Renegade, and Generals
Holy shit.
are all going open source. Yeah, that's like the big dogs, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Man, I haven't thought about Command and Conquer Generals in forever. Yeah. Also, Renegade. That's the that's like the first person shooter, I think. I don't know. No.
Really? I clicked on the link in the article to see, expecting it to have like the page for the game. And it just goes to the GitHub where you can get the source code for it.
Yeah.
But, does not help me, at least right now, know what kind of game it was.
Nobody but me
yeah.
likes Generals or played it, but that's just what I played with Moxie and our other friend.
Cool.
In high school. So like that is the one of these that I know. I don't even know if there's like a way to like play that on modern systems now. So maybe like that'll get a port up and going.
Yeah, so it talks about some fan projects, OpenRA and OpenSage, that are basically approximations of the game. It's not on the source code though, and so EA putting out this source code, and they're also at the same time adding workshop support to all of their modern titles that are on Steam, which I guess they're modern Command and Conquer titles. News to me.
Yeah.
Command and Conquer 4 Tiberian Twilight.
No clue.
That sounds like a dating sim.
It does.
Anyway, this is very cool of EA, and EA doesn't do many very cool things. The other thing is at the bottom of the article, it mentions that they also, alongside all this, released a 35-minute video of alpha gameplay and archival footage from Generals and Renegade.
Oh.
And this is... It's so cool to see. I earnestly believe that just the fact that the Digital Archive and the Video Game History Foundation exists and has a place to put this stuff encourages publishers to actually put it out.
Yeah.
Like there's a place to house a video like this publicly. And so you're going to get this stuff. And that creates a virtuous cycle that, makes it easier to preserve these games that we all love. So good on EA. I firmly believe this is a reaction to the ecosystem for archival stuff getting better. And I hope a lot more people follow suit.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, after a certain point, hand it over. It belongs to everybody.
Yeah. We've already pirated it, so you might as well give it to us.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that is good news. Kind of along with the Team Fortress open sourcing that we talked about recently.
Yeah.
Hey Ben, what are rhythm game perverts doing?
Yeah, this story is a thing that happened this past week, and here it is. A streamer named Carney Jared.
Yeah,
I want to make sure I got that name right.
His Carney, his name's Jared. Yeah.
He beat Through the Fire and Flames at 200% speed for the first time in human history.
Yes.
So that was the kind of that was like the song to beat in the original Guitar Hero that came out
in Guitar Hero 3.
Oh, the original Guitar Hero 3 to come out. So he played it twice as fast. It has 3,700 notes in it. And it took the streamer 9 months to beat it. And then there's some like stats as far as like how many times he's gotten to each section of the song. And he had gone like over 2,000 times making it past the first bridge. But then 227 times to the final solo section, and one time past that. So
maniac behavior.
Yeah, it's super impressive if you watch it. It's like one of those things where it's like it's happening so fast that it's like it looks like gibberish, and it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I don't think you can fully appreciate like how much it takes to do like any small section of that.
Yeah.
But
so I'm really sorry. I hit play on the little video snippet that shows him doing it, and he finishes, and I'm like, wait a second, it must have started halfway through the song because that's way shorter than the song actually is. realizing he was playing it on 2x speed, which
Yeah.
makes a difference. So I am ashamed. But yeah, good on this guy.
Yeah. And as a nice cap off, they tease that they're going to make a hour documentary that'll be released in the next few months about them doing this.
I'm curious how much of a story there is in that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shrug.
I mean,
My hands hurt just watching this, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no. Just the amount of just internalization of the chart that you have to that you have to do. Yeah, it's playing this.
You're not playing this by listening or watching what's on the screen.
No.
Or the speakers at this point.
Yeah. Huh.
Good Lord.
200% speed. Yeah, I need to watch the video of this because that is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which begs the question: 300% win?
I don't know the clone. I mean, obviously there might be a way to rig something to work, but I don't know that out of the box Clone Hero lets you go above 200% speed. Like I think that even that is there.
Not? Yeah.
Even that's just there as like a joke, is what it feels like. Yeah.
Oh man.
So like at that point you would like
never trust a gamer to understand a joke.
Yeah. And it's like, no, it's okay. No, it's there, so I have to do it. I feel like the next step is to do it on brutal or precision mode. Yeah, those are both very hard. Brutal is like the better you do, the more of the chart is obscured from you. So like if you miss a note, you can see the entire thing. But as you build your combo, like the blind spot builds from the from the meter line out. Until eventually it's all hidden from you. And precision mode is just like, oh yeah, there's no grace period. You have to hit it right on in order to make that happen. And again, those are
and then cut that window in half.
Yes, yeah. I don't even like at a certain point. I think that you get beyond like the polling rate for one of these controllers, maybe.
Yeah.
Huh. Well.
Humans are amazing.
Good for them. Huh. Yeah. I want to see them do Everlong on drums on Pro Expert at 200%.
No.
That's definitely beyond the polling rate. Yeah. Because, just casually playing a 64th note.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man. I think that's it. I think that is the show. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I think we did it. Buttons.
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to level number 535, the last palindromic number we're going to get for 1,000 episodes.
Hey.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said at the beginning, you're still laughing at that, huh?
It always hits.
That got me.
Yeah.
That got me.
Yeah. So if you listened to the beginning of the episode, you know this. If you didn't, that's weird. But going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee the first weekend of April. Going to be doing a live panel with Gary. Maybe we'll bring a guest up. This is still to be discussed. But I didn't say what the topic is. We're talking about retro gaming for the Souls fan. Talking about older games that are kind of antecedents for what Dark Souls and Elden Ring did.
Are we talking Kingsfield or are we going further back?
I don't see how we don't talk about Kingsfield because it's definitely kind of a blind spot. I think we need to assume that somebody is not coming in like with a level of like familiarity or expertise. But that's not going to be like the meat of it. It's like, what are the roots in like Castlevania 2 and like Phazanadu? Just kind of like older like SNES or like PC games that feel like antecedents. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So come hang out. We'll have a meetup and all that. More details coming on the socials. Otherwise, you can support this show and the network by backing us on Patreon, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, or leave us a rating or review, which is free. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
Not to my knowledge.
All right. Well,
If you backed the Deck of Wonders expansion Kickstarter and haven't filled out your form yet, fill out your form.
is that to me?
Okay,
is,
I'm done
is
now.
that that to me? I don't know if I got that message.
I don't know. Have you filled out your form?
I don't know that I have.
I can check it right now and put you on blast.
Yeah, I can. Oh, I definitely have it because I don't know that I've gotten any communication about it. I think that maybe the message got filtered out. So I guess that's cool. That was aimed at me.
No, I speak 90% in jest.
Yes.
Also, I'll probably give you your game whenever we see each other next
probably.
versus needing to ship it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So I've been Cole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Cole Ross.
I've been Dennis Dreyer. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles.
Easter egg.
As if.
I mean, I didn't write anything else down besides Snake on a Plane.
Nothing
Plain.
even came close.
Yeah. I didn't know if there were any strays that came in.
Nope.
No, didn't even bother.
All right. It was decided.